Namaste everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ramanand Sagar Ramayan Review. My name is Pradeep and I'm the dad.
My name is Vishala and I am the daughter.
And thank you all so much for once again joining with us. It really means a lot to have you on board. Please don't forget to follow, rate, review, and share the podcast with your friends. So Vishala, what episode are we reviewing today?
Season 1, Episode 6.
That's right. And do you have the name of it?
Raam Meets Sita.
And IMDB gives this a rating of 9 stars, which, what do you think? You think it deserves 9 stars?
Yes, I actually really like this episode, so yes.
Yes, I think it deserves 9 stars as well. The IMDB description says, Janak welcomes Vishwamitra, Rama and Lakshman in Mithila, where Vishwamitra has decided to take rest. While there, Ram first sets eyes upon Janaka's daughter, Princess Sita, in the royal garden. What is your overall thoughts about this episode?
I really liked this episode. It was a very sweet episode.
For me, I absolutely loved it. You know, this is a very important part of the Ramayana, and they are taking their time with it. This is kind of what I wanted to see with the birth of Shri Ram, and what we're seeing here is exactly what it is I would like to see when they come to parts like this. The dialogue is perfect. I love their song selections. The acting between Rama and Sita is beautiful. I really like this episode.
I feel like they're finally starting to slow it down now.
Well, hopefully. I mean, we've said that before, and then they speed up the very next week. So we'll see what happens. If you're ready, we can go ahead and get started. Why don't you start with the recap?
Okay. So it starts with the last scene from the last episode, as it normally does, when they were doing Shiva Puja, and the king's messenger walks in. He apologizes, of course, to King Janak for interrupting them during their puja. He tells the king how sage Vishwamitra is staying at the mango orchard outside the city. So they make their way over to the orchard and they greet Vishwamitra and show their respects by offering flowers and giving arti.
So if we could just pause there for 1 second. So last week I said that the sage there that was conducting the worship for him was Yagnavalakji. I wasn't sure about that. It's actually Sage Shatanand. So that was not Yagnavalakji that we saw there. It was Sage Shatanand.
So afterwards they sit down and they welcome the sage and tell him how blessed they are to have him there. Something that I noticed is that Vishwamitra has equal respect to them. Not equal respect, but they show him respect and he gives them respect back. Yeah.
So that is the way that they treat each other. One of the things I want you to notice is that we have Guruji there, right? Which is Guru Vishwamitra, and we have God there, who is Shri Ram, and they offer worship to Guru before God. Mm-hmm. So that is very symbolic of how we're supposed to see things in our own personal lives as well. We go to Guru first before we go to God. Without Guru, there is no God. There's no way we can attain God without him.
I've always heard that you should always go to your Guru first before going to God. I didn't realize that that's what they were showing here. I just realized that.
Maybe it wasn't deliberate, but it was just something that I noticed in the way that it was presented.
So King Janak asks for Vishwamitra to stay in the palace because that would give him an opportunity to serve him. And Ram and Lakshman, they take a seat next to Vishwamitra, and King Janak notices them and kind of stares at them as if he's taking in their presence. Who?
So you notice that look that Janaka had when he saw Shri Ram, right? Mm-hmm. And there's actually a story behind that. This actually comes from a lecture from Swami Mukundananda. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing here. Swami Mukundananda himself has a very beautiful podcast the JK Yog podcast and the Swami Mukundananda podcast, just two of them. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes if anybody wants to go and check it out. But he has some very nice YouTube videos as well. And on that video, he said that it's said in the city of Mithila, all the people are very highly enlightened. They are all Gyan Yogis. And their king, who is Raja Janak, he is the most enlightened of them all. Raja Janak is so highly respected of a devotee that Shri Krishna uses him as an example when he speaks to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as Raja Janak is someone that you can aspire to be like. Raja Janak, he is a Mahayogi, or he is a Raja Rishi, which means he is a king, but he's also a yogi. Although he's a yogi, he performs his duties as a king. He personifies the embodiment of surrender and detachment all in one. Although he lives as a king, and although he lives among all the opulences and all the riches that a king has, his mind is always fixed on Bhagavan. We know this because in the next yoga, Shri Krishna himself talks about it. Now, that look that we see, he's looking at Shri Ram for the first time. When he goes to ask Vishwamitra to come to stay at the palace, and he sees Shri Ram, he immediately becomes lost in this trance. Now, the reason for that is he knows that there is something special about this individual that he's looking at. He stares at him and he's trying to understand who is this that he's seeing. Now, the reason that this resonates with him is because he's thinking to himself, I am a detached soul. I don't desire anything material, nor do I desire to be with anyone. The only person I desire to be with is Bhagavan. But what it is about this one person, this individual, that is so attractive to me? For some reason, he finds himself not only thinking about Bhagavan, but he's thinking about this young boy in front of him. There's something about this individual that's attractive to him. So then he starts to wonder, is this that Brahm that I am attracted to, that unmanifested form of God? Now, in the episode, it says Brahma. Brahma and a Brahm is two different things, right? So he's actually asking, is this the Brahm that I am attracted to, that unmanifested form of God, who has actually now taken form on this earth? So his mind actually starts to go the right direction. He's thinking that the Lord himself has taken form on earth, and this is the person that he's seeing. So before this meeting with Shri Ram, Raja Janak could have classified himself as a Gyan Yogi, one that sees God through knowledge. But after he sees Shri Ram, this changes, and he goes from being a Gyan Yogi, he who worships through knowledge, to one who worships through love. He feels it in his heart for the Lord once he sees Shri Ram. So when you see the look on Raja Janak's face, that is what we're seeing. This transformation in his heart from being a Gyan Yogi to a Bhakti Yogi.
Vishwamitra explains how these are the sons of King Dashrath, and they've killed Marich, Subahu, and Tarika, which have brought peace to their hermitage.
Yeah, so you notice Vishwamitra understands what Janak is asking. He's asking, who are these boys? And Vishwamitra knows who Shri Ram is. He has no doubt in his mind, he has no doubt in his heart who Shri Ram is, but he does not tell Raja Janak who Shri Ram is. In actuality, he tells him who Shri Ram is in this material world, and he allows Raja Janak to sort it out in his own mind.
He also says how they freed Ahalya's soul, who was the mother of King Janak's priest. How do you say?
Yes, his name is Sage Shatanand. And actually in the Ramayana, this is actually where we get the story of Ahalya. When Vishwamitra starts to explain to Shatananji about what actually happened with his mom, because Shatanan is the son of Gautama Rishi and Mataji Ahilya. So this is when Shatanan gets to find out what happened, and he thanks Vishwamitra profusely for what he and Shri Ram has done to liberate his mother.
So like you just said, he thanks both Vishwamitra and Ram, and Ram said Ram always goes back to this thing where he's like, this is all my guru. My guru did this. It wasn't me. It was my guru.
Well, yeah, so if you think about it, Ram wouldn't even be there if Vishwamitra didn't come for him.
That's true.
Everything that's being done is being done at the will of his guru. Had it been left to Shri Ram would still be in the palace. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's because of this blessing of his guru, who is now Guru Vishwamitra, that he is being able to experience all of this.
So soon they leave to go back to the palace, and they were informed that arrangements are made for them to stay in the guest room. And
so before we go to the palace, there was one thing I wanted to kind of talk about. So Vishwamitra, when he arrives, although he was invited to go to Mithila, when he arrives, he doesn't assume that he is welcome to stay in the palace. He says, we're going to set up camp over here in this mango orchard.
Yeah.
Right. So he sets up camp in the mango orchard, and he waits for the invitation before he goes to the palace. So that's telling us that we should never assume that just because we're welcome to go to a place, whether it's like a party or a wedding or some big gathering that we've been invited to come to, we can't just assume that we could just go and stay there, right? And this is one of the things that we're seeing here. He doesn't assume that he's allowed to just come and stay in the palace. He goes, he finds a place, and it's not until he's welcome to come and stay there that he leaves and he goes to the palace. So that's a good thing for our everyday life for us to consider.
so when they go back to the palace, they're informed that arrangements are made for them to stay in the guest room. And Vishwamitra asks, he says that he's a sage, why prepare these arrangements? And I got exactly what they said. He said that his pure feet turns every place into a sacred land, but along with him are the royal heirs of Ayodhya, so they must do that. And the scene cuts to them. They're dressing Sita, they're getting her ready. As they're preparing her, someone, I'm guessing it's like one of her cousins or someone, walks in.
So these girls are actually going to be very important very shortly. So Sita Mata actually has a sister, and the sister's name is Urmila, and she will get married to Lakshman. As Sita is getting married, these other her sister and her cousins are also going to get married. She has a cousin by the name of Mandhavi, and she will be married to Bharata. And then she has another one by the name of Shrutakirti, who is going to be married to Shatrughan. So there are also other people there, maidservants and all of that, but there are 4 girls that's there, Sita and the 3 others, that they will get married to the 4 brothers.
So yeah, like I said, I'm guessing one of her cousins walks in and starts talking about Ram. She says how everywhere they go, everyone just stares at them, and she's telling Sita, once you lay eyes on him, you're just gonna forget the conditions of the king. You're gonna wanna marry him. Yeah,
they say that Shri Ram is so handsome. He's the beauty of the 3 worlds. That's how they talk about him. Everybody realizes that there's something special about these princes. They just don't know what it is yet.
So soon the scene cuts to Ram and Lakshman, and they're massaging Vishwamitra's feet as he sleeps. And as they're doing it, there's music playing, and it says the sage orders them again and again, the 2 brothers, for the 2 brothers to go to sleep. So they do.
How great would you have to be to have the Lord come and squeeze your feet? Right? This is what we're seeing here. Here is Guru Vishwamitra. He's lying down. The Lord is squeezing his feet, and repeatedly he's asking the Lord, please stop, until eventually he has to order him and tell him, no, stop, you go ahead and you sleep.
So they get up to go sleep, and so instead of the both of them going to sleep, Lakshman ends up staying up, and so they go from Ram and Lakshman massaging Vishwamitra's feet to Ram going to sleep too, and then Lakshman just staying up and
I saw
massaging
that.
his feet.
So we see Shri Ram lying down. I'm thinking, okay, Lakshman is lying down too, and then you get a wide angle, and Lakshman is squeezing his feet. I was like, oh my Lord.
So now Ram gets up to tell Lakshman to go to sleep, but instead of just getting up and going to sleep, he bows to Ram's feet first and then goes to sleep.
Yeah, Lakshman, like I said, Lakshman is Sheshnag. He's Shesh, and he always just wants to serve Shri Vishnu, and this is what we're seeing here. And you see how he doesn't want to go to sleep? He wants to stay there and keep watching over him. When Shri Ram goes into the forest for exile, that will play a major role. And Lakshman and Urmila is going to have a very beautiful story there. And I cannot wait to get to that, to talk about that.
The scene cuts to them doing Gauri Puja with Sita.
Yeah, so they're preparing to do the Gauri Puja. And what they're actually doing is, you notice they ask her mom, why doesn't she go and also perform the puja with Sita to guide her? And she's saying, no, this puja has to be done by just the bride, right? It's called the Kanya Kumari Puja, and it's the puja that the bride will perform before the wedding. And what it is the bride is going to Gauri Mata, the Parvati Mata, and she's asking to bless her with a good husband and for happiness in her future life.
So the next scene shows Ram and Lakshman approaching Vishwamitra, and Ram asks if he could go and get flowers for the veneration, and Vishwamitra says yes, and he tells him where the flower garden is near the Gauri temple by the palace. And then
So you think Vishwamitra knew what he was doing when he told him that?
Yeah.
He's being a bit of a matchmaker there, right? Yeah, go ahead and pick the flowers and go over there by the Gauri Mandir, and you will get flowers over there.
So the scene cuts to Sita and the rest of the girls going to the Gauri temple to do the puja. And as they're doing the puja, Ram is making his way over to the garden over there. And one of the girls, they went to Sita, like she was like in the garden, and she saw Ram and Lakshman, and she went back to Sita, and she was telling her how she saw the two princes, and she's asking Sita, like, well, she got all the girls to ask Sita, she's asking her to go with them to go see Ram. And so she's saying
one of the things I noticed when Shri Ram goes into the garden before he picks the flowers, Shri Ram is this prince of Ayodhya, right? He is very well known and everybody likes him over here. He can pretty much get away with anything, especially just go and pick a flower, right? But before he does, he goes and he asks.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, this is so beautiful that he humbles himself to go to the gardener first and say, is it okay if I pick some flowers to do worship? I thought that was very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So they ask Sita to go see Ram with them, but she's saying no, but they still grab her arm and they still pull her to go.
I would imagine that's what girls do anyways, right? They just kind of peer pressure you into doing all kinds of mischief.
Yes. So they approach Ram, and they're watching him as he picks the flowers, and Ram and Sita, they make eye contact, and they just have this moment where they're just staring at each other, and the music was playing, and it was a really sweet moment. It
was very nice. And what I'm thinking, I'm looking at the two of them, and in my mind I'm thinking, here is Lakshmi having been separated from her Vishnu for so long, and finally they're able to meet again, and they're just looking at each other, and here as Lakshmi and Vishnu, and they just can't wait for when that time comes again that they will be together.
So yeah, they're just having that moment where they're just like staring at each other, and then all of a sudden Lakshman walks in and he just looks over. He's like, what's going on?
I love that expression. He was surprised, like, what?
He's like, what is going on?
I missed it.
That was pretty funny. So Sita closes her eyes and she's like getting lost in the moment, and the other girls, they're just like looking at each other and they're trying to figure out what to do. And so they walk up to her and they snap her out of her trance and they start pulling her away and walking away. But something that I noticed was that like Ram and Sita, they're still looking at each other as she's walking away.
So I don't know if you paid attention to the song that was playing at the time, and the meaning of the song was, with the promise of Narada, the pure love emerged, stunned to see Shri Ram just like an enchantress.
So Sita leaves the other girls to go pray again, and she's praying like as in they're saying in the song, she's praying to go
she
to
finally
marry
realized,
Ram.
wait a minute, I didn't done pray, let me go back. No, because remember what she was praying for, right? She was praying for a good husband. And she comes now and finally she sees, wait a minute, this is the one that I want. So she goes back and says, okay, Gaurima, this is the one that I want. That she starts praying that she would allow her and Shri Ram to get together.
And as she's praying, she goes to bow, and then all of a sudden the garland around the murti falls down and lands around Sita's neck. And I got like, oh my god, it's a sign. So the next scene shows Sita back at the palace. It's nighttime and she's resting, and it also shows back in the guest room, Lakshman is massaging Ram's feet again, and both Ram and Sita, they're both just like lost in like thought, probably thinking about each other.
Exactly, yeah, that's what they're doing.
And Lakshman, he notices like Ram just like lost in thought, and he's like, are you okay? He says how Ram looks restless, and Ram says how that day like the state of his heart is very strange. He explains how he keeps thinking of Sita and he just can't stop thinking of her.
Yeah, he said that his mind was like calm water, and it's like somebody took a stone and threw it in that water, and now it just ripples, and every ripple he thinks about Sita. It was such a beautiful way to phrase it.
He says how the minds of the Raghukull people can't be led down the wrong path,
right?
But he said only fate knows what the future may bring.
So this is kind of how I heard that. This is how I saw that. Now, he was invited to come to the Swayamvar, but not to participate. As far as he knows, he's not participating, right? So for him to have eyes for the princess that this Swayamvar is for, and not knowing that he's going to participate, is kind of, it's kind of wrong for him in his mind, right? That why am I thinking about her, and there's no reason for me to be thinking about her because I don't know that I'm going to be participating in this. Now, if that he had come with the intention of doing that, then it might have been a little bit better, right? But it's almost as though I am looking upon somebody else's wife at this point because I don't know that I'm going to be participating. And that's kind of how I read that when I saw it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So back with Sita, her sisters they're trying to ask her questions, but like I said before, she was just lost in thought. She doesn't answer. She's distracted by this thought of Ram, and it's like as if her mind is just somewhere else. And her sisters wonder like who's gonna be able to lift this bow.
And that's the thing that jogs her out of that state of mind that she's in, because now all of a sudden she starts to wonder, wait a minute, will he be able to lift the bow? Right? Because he has to be able to do that, right? So have I ever told you the story of that bow?
I think I've heard it in the past, but I don't remember it.
Okay, so there was a king named Devarata. And he is actually the originator of the Vedaha dynasty or Janaka's lineage. So Raja Janaka of Mithila, the originator of that lineage, is a king by the name of Devarata. When Daksha was having the sacrifice, you remember that episode we did where Sati burnt herself in the fire?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So during that fire sacrifice, Shiva, upon Sati destroying herself, he showed up and he was so upset. He was so mad. He had this huge bow in his hand and he drew the string on the bow and he said, "Since you all have chosen to omit me from your sacrificial worship, and since you have chosen to disrespect me and my wife, I will shred your highly revered heads with my bow." So he was going to take that bow and he was going to cut everybody's heads off. Now there, remember, along with all the kings, was also the demigods who were with them. The demigods, the devatas, were so terrified, they immediately dropped to their knees and they started to offer worship to Lord Shiva. And they're continuously chanting his praises. They're offering milk, they're offering honey, they're offering water, they're offering flowers. Pretty much they're doing an abhishek for Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva now, being the easiest pleased, he turned to the devatas, now just the devatas, and he gave them the bow. He decided he was not going to use the bow in that way anymore. He gave them the bow, and as soon as he gave them the bow, they took that bow and they gave it to Devarata for safekeeping. And this is how the Vedaha dynasty came into possession of that bow, and that bow passed down until it got to Janaka. Now Sita Devi was not born the way a regular person was born. Raja Janak was plowing his field one day. They were not getting rain in Mithila, and there was this yagna to be performed, and part of the yagna was he had to plow the field before to prepare it. And while plowing the field, he came across this jar in the dirt, and when he opened the jar, there was Sita. Now there's a story, of course, behind that jar, and I will do a separate episode just about that. It's a very beautiful story, right? But he came across the jar. When he opens the jar, there's a baby girl in there. This baby girl came to be known as Sita. Sita grew up in the house of Raja Janak. He adopted her as his own daughter. Grew up in the house of Janak, and as she was growing up, the bow was there, and she used to play with the bow. She was able to lift the bow, right? Now, this bow, however, was so heavy that no human man could lift it, but yet, here was Sita Mata, and she was able to lift it. So as she's growing up, the time comes for her to get married. Raja Janak is thinking, okay, what is the best way for me to find her a suitable husband? Then he remembers this, and he says, well, whoever is going to be married to Sita should also be able to lift this bow. She shouldn't be more powerful than him. They should be as powerful, right? So he makes it a condition of the Swayamvar that anybody coming to marry Sita has to also be able to lift this bow and to string this bow. They have to be able to tie it. So this is what it is. Now Sita knows that she was the only one that was able to lift the bow. Nobody else could lift it. So this is why she becomes worried now when she hears the issue about the bow. I wonder if he's going to be able to lift it. This is why she starts to think like that.
So that's where the episode ended.
That's the end. Yeah, it was a beautiful episode. Like I said before, I really liked it. So tell me, what stood out to you in this episode?
The way Sita looked back as she was walking away, like her and Ram were still looking at each other, like as she was walking away.
Just seeing the love between the two of them. Yeah, that was really nice. And I thought they acted that perfectly. Really, I don't think that they could have done any better than they did with that material. It was really well done. For me, two things I really hit me. One was the worship to the guru, and like I said before, the focus on the guru before God. That resonated with me. And then when I saw Shri Ram's humility when asking for the flowers, that really hit home. I had loved that. Was there anything in particular that you liked about the episode?
When Vishwamitra told Ram and Lakshman to go to bed, and Lakshman stayed up to massage Ram's feet instead.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It kind of, it grounds you in your thinking of, instead of thinking of them as brothers, you see the real relationship between Vishnu and Sheshnag. Right? If you think about it in that term, it's Vishnu and Sheshnag, not two brothers, then you really start to understand, okay, that is why this relationship is the way it is. Even when Shri Ram goes into the forest for 14 years and Lakshman goes with him, it is never really the relationship of two equals, two brothers. It's always Lakshman has a subservient relationship to Shri Ram. He's always there to serve and to be there for whatever Shri Ram wants. And he doesn't mind because this is what he wants. He's a servant of Shri Ram. Whether he is in form of Sheshnag or whatever it is, he's a servant of Shri Ram. For me, I liked, and I really like this, the detail that was given to the meeting between Shri Ram and Sita Mata. I thought that the showrunners of the Ramanand Sagar Ramayan, they took their time and they gave it exactly the weight that it deserved. They handled this perfectly. I loved it. Was there anything that you disliked about it?
I really liked this episode. I don't think there was anything that I disliked.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I would say nothing. I think it's perfect. One of the funniest things I thought, though, was seeing Vishwamitra playing matchmaker for Shri Ram and Sita Mata. I'm sitting down there and I'm watching him and I'm hearing him saying, yeah, just go.
Just go.
Just go over there by the Gauri temple. Don't worry about anything. You just take your basket and you go and pick your flowers from there, okay? And it was so nice. It was so nice watching that. I was like, okay, Vishwamitra. Yeah, that was beautiful. Well, I think that's it. Do we have anything that we missed?
I don't think so.
Okay. Once again, thank you all for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Until next time, Jai Shri Ram. This has been a presentation of the Hindu Pod. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and rate this episode, since it helps to bump us up in the feeds, which helps others to find the podcast. Please send comments to TheHinduPod@gmail.com. That's TheHinduPod@gmail.com. You can text us at 281-804-9616 or just search Facebook for The Hindu Pod. If you live in the Houston area, you can find us on most Sundays at the Sanatan Dharam Mandir for Sunday morning satsang. They are located at 12918 Player Street, Houston, Texas 77045, and are open Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. If you would like to support the pod financially, we are sponsored by HinduHandcrafts.com. That's HinduHandcrafts.com. Please visit HinduHandcrafts.com for Hindu religious-based items such as framed pictures, wall plaques, tapestries, t-shirts, clocks, and so on. They are perfect for puja use and home decor gifts. Until next time, Jai Shri Ram.